Remember back a while ago, I did a review of a Beavis and Butthead VHS that I found, and I actually really enjoyed that one. And I think somewhere in the video I said, I'm going to look for some more Beavis and Butthead, and well, guess what? I found another one. This one is called Beavis and Butthead, Innocence Lost. The cover is like just your basic scene of Butthead slapping Beavis around, which happens a lot in these cartoons. This one, like the other, has like 8 episodes on it. I think the other one had maybe 9. 8 episodes on it, and it's less than an hour long. Because Beavis and Butthead, all their cartoons are only like 5 minutes long or something like that. And there's some funny ones on here. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I need to explain to you who Beavis and Butthead are. It's a couple of metalhead slacker kids, like maybe like 14 or 15 or something like that. Yeah, this is about their misadventures, I guess you could say. First episode on here is called Held Back, and it's about them in school and how they just don't care, and they're gonna like fail the grade or whatever, and they don't participate in class at all. They don't get any work done. They're just dumb as shit. So they're gonna be held back. Principal and staff don't even want them in their school anymore because they're just troublemakers. They just cause problems, and they're just a waste of space in their school. So they decide to send them back to like 6th grade. Yeah, and so they're too stupid for 6th grade even. So they send them back to like 5th grade. And then they still make asses of themselves in class, and horrible, horrible students. So they send them back to like 4th grade and then like 2nd grade. So they end up in kindergarten. And there's one really kind of off-color, I guess you could say, tasteless joke. Like, they get demoted all the way down to kindergarten, and Butthead looks around the room and he's like, this totally sucks, Beavis. All these chicks are flat. It ends up that they can't have them in elementary school. They got to get rid of them, and they eventually force them to go back to normal high school, and there's a big fight about it, and the episode's over, and everything goes back to normal. Second one is about driver's ed, and they get to watch like movies about people dying in car accidents, and they're like, this is so cool. And they show like in the movie that they're watching, a couple of like slacker dudes who actually look like really extra cool versions of Beavis and Butthead, which is hilarious. And so they think that's just awesome, and they can't wait to drive and stuff like that. And then they eventually do get to drive, and they like, I don't know, cause accidents and stuff. It's there's not a lot that happens in that one, but it's kind of funny. The next one, they end up taking an art class so they could basically see nude models or whatever, and so they see a naked lady, takes her clothes off, and they're supposed to draw her and stuff, and they just end up drawing like stick figures or whatever, and they're just like, and they're like blown away at first. This chick took her clothes off right there in front of everybody, and they were like so blown away by this. And they're being disruptive, and they're making stupid comments and things like that. And the teacher asks them to leave. They're like, could you just like wait a couple minutes? Don't want to get up right now. Like, Beavis is like, yeah, I got a stiffy. Yeah, this is awesome. So the teacher's like, okay, well, you guys just stay here then. We're gonna go out in the hallway. We're gonna have snacks and whatever, and then we're going to come back and we're going to continue our art lesson with another model. Okay, now it's time for our next model. And then like some naked dude walks in, and Beavis and Butthead are like, okay, time to go. Let's go get those snacks in the hallway now. Now, throughout the various episodes of Beavis and Butthead, they have a friend or a kid that wants to be their friend. His name is Stuart, and he's kind of like a straight-laced kid. He's a good kid, but he's not very cool, and Beavis and Butthead think he's a loser and everything, and they like take advantage of him all the time and bully him and whatever, and because Beavis and Butthead are assholes, right? But anyway, they go to Stuart's house for whatever reason, so they get there, and there's like these 2 dudes are like moving stuff out of the house into a van, and they tell Beavis and Butthead that, hey, we're movers, and we're taking this stuff, and Stuart's moving away, so why don't you boys help us get some stuff into the van? We'll teach you how to be movers and all this stuff, and and then one day you can come work for us. And I think it is pretty obvious to the audience anyway that these guys aren't actually movers, they're just robbing the place. And they get Beavis and Butthead to inadvertently help them steal everything from the house. And they encourage them to trash the house, which Beavis and Butthead do for, I don't know, because they think it's cool, like, and they want to be cool like these mover guys. So Stuart and his family get home, and it's discovered that they weren't actually moving at all. They were just out of the house for like, going to see a movie or something, and these guys just robbed them blind, and Beavis and Butthead wrecked their house. But, they get away scot-free, and they just go about their daily lives, and they're like, I wonder what Stuart's dad's so pissed about. Then there's another episode in there where one of the two, I can't remember which, rescues a baby bird, nurse it back to health, and, so the bird lives and the bird gets healthy and all this stuff, and then they try and set it free or whatever, and then they just throw it in the air and the thing gets eaten or falls to the ground and dies or whatever. The best one on here is Beavis gets a nosebleed. Episode's called Nosebleed. He can't stop it and he thinks he's dying, and because Beavis always thinks he's dying. But he does have a really bad nosebleed and it's like gushing out of his face and everything, and it's really bad. And there's a point where Butthead has to call like 911, but he doesn't know the number. He accidentally calls like 411, and he speaks to the operator. He's like, my friend, he's like bleeding a lot. He's got like this nosebleed, and I told him to stop, but he's just not stopping. So the lady's like, well, I think you want 911. And he goes, okay. And then so he calls back, and he calls back 411 again, and he's like, what was that number again? You know how in cartoons, like traditionally, like in old cartoons, like the Flintstones and stuff like that, somebody gets like needs to have a tooth pulled or something, has a really bad toothache, and they have to like pull the tooth out, and they like tie a string around it or whatever, and they tie the other end to the door and slam the door so it pulls it out. I don't know how this is working, but somehow you just see like a Butthead like ties a string to Beavis's nose or something like that and attaches the other end to the door, and you just see gushing blood everywhere. And then at one point he's like trying to make him stand on his head and jump around and run in circles and stuff, and just all kind of like home remedies for this nosebleed. And I don't really remember how it ends, but man, I was laughing my ass off when I saw that one. There's another one where they end up in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting for whatever reason. I think because they were like looking for free coffee and donuts or something. They talk to all the alcoholics or recovering alcoholics and stuff, and some pretty funny banter in there and some good commentary about alcohol use and the way it's portrayed in North American society and that sort of thing. Anyway, that episode ends with all the guys in the group want to go out for a drink because they're like, you guys know how to party. Let's go to the bar and let's go party. And so they all go to the bar, all these alcoholics, and they leave their AA meeting. Beavis and Butthead get to the bar, and of course they can't get served, but they get to watch all these other guys get drunk and ruin their lives again. Kind of a cynical ending on that one. And the final episode here, I think it might be the first appearance of the Cornholio character, which I always thought was really stupid. It's just Mike Judge, who of course does the voices, most of the voices for Beavis and Butthead cartoons. It's just Mike Judge making a funny voice and saying stupid things that really don't make much sense, and it's the great Cornholio, and like, I don't know, I just don't really find that funny, and that was a big part of their movie as well, and a lot of people said, that's what they remember about Beavis and Butthead. And that's the least funny thing about Beavis and Butthead, if you ask me. And they just beat the joke to death in this. Apparently, Beavis just drinks like a whole bunch of coffee and gets a bunch of caffeine in him and eats a bunch of sugar and stuff. And he's like buzzing out and wigging out. And then he just goes into his routine. So because he's saying, I'm the great Cornholio, and he has like a vaguely Spanish accent on it, immigration comes and picks him up and they deport him to Mexico. And yeah, anyway, I just didn't really find that very funny. Yeah, I did enjoy this overall. I did enjoy this tape. 8 episodes of Beavis and Butthead, most of which made me laugh. But I think overall it doesn't deserve as good a grade as the tape of Chicks and stuff. So Beavis and Butthead, Innocence Lost. I'm gonna give this one a B minus. B because it's still Beavis and Butthead and it's still funny. And the minus because I didn't like the Cornholio episode and some of the other jokes just didn't land for me. Although there were a lot of laughs in it, there were some that brought it down a little bit. So it's a B minus. But yeah, I mean, I'm still, if I see any more Beavis and Butthead tapes, I'm probably going to pick those up as well. I mean, I never really did watch these guys that much back in the day. But I think now, since they kind of are kind of a snapshot of the mid to late 90s, I appreciate it a lot more because I remember how confusing and ridiculous the 90s were, at least for me, and how cynical most of it was. And there's a lot of that cynicism here in Beavis and Butthead. So anyway, I guess until the next time we find some Beavis and Butthead tapes, or the next time I decide to make any kind of video, I guess. Have a good one, everybody.